Also, I'm going to talk about turbo as well because there's a discussion being had. And I think there's some really silly things being said about it that I'd like to address on stream. There's a big argument going around. In any way you put this argument, it's people trying to, like, essentially... It's like, oh, the moral high ground of trying to protect the rest of our community members. It's like, it's not up to you to determine how people want to go about their own health decisions, you know? I've been saying I don't give a shit about if people want to use turbo or not. Allow it to be on the leaderboards. But people are saying now, on-cap it. So you can turbo 30 hertz, or 20 hertz, or 25 hertz, whatever turbo controller you have. I think that's stupid. And then the argument for that is because we want people to be encouraged to use turbo controllers because of their health and their risks, so they don't get RSI or carpal tunnel. You know, so we should lead in a positive light, you know, about the fact that on-cap it, so then you're kind of pushed into the back of a wall, and you're pushed into a corner to where you have to then just use a turbo controller, even though if you don't want to, then it's like, it like flips the script. Okay, so we're gonna allow turboing, which has always been some sort of like stigma in the speedrunning community. Cool. Okay, now we're just gonna fucking allow it completely on-capped because that's for the health of our community members. I just feel like it's disingenuous and dishonest when people say that shit. No. I don't think people have those intentions. That's why. No, I think even 20 is ridiculous. Because 15 hertz is what it takes to mash the gold phase on Ravenbeak. Ravenbeak Phase 2 and Ravenbeak Phase 3 are incredibly sped up because of turbo. The fastest DPS is you hold the shoot button down with turbo, which is like this, like 12 hertz, and then all you do, you're holding that button down and you just tap R for missiles. That makes the fight insanely fast. It speeds it up, so then it's already balanced at that point. If people want to still mash, which I'm not going to buy a turbo controller, if people still want to mash, that's on them. Like, it's not you to determine just by pushing people into a corner because you allow on-capped turbo speeds. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, so other arguments I see now. So, and this is I feel like this is obviously against me here in the Discord, is people are now trying to determine, they're saying, like, my argument is, oh, turbos will give a competitive edge to those who use the turbo controller. And that's, I feel like, is now just being taken as, like, I can mash faster, therefore you shouldn't be able to mash as fast as me. And that's not the first time I've seen this, so I want to call that out, and because I know people take that way. First of all, I was never good at mashing to begin with. I wasn't popped out of the fucking womb, okay? Slid onto an operating table, and then could mash at 20 to 22 hertz double mash, okay? Or 12 to 13, 14 single mash, okay? I sucked at mashing when I first started speedrunning. I developed a better skill over time, and one that's more ergonomic, okay? It's not like I fucking popped out of the pussy and just, give me the controller, let's do this, you know? Like, so when people say that kind of shit, it's very obnoxious, all right? Like, oh, just because you were born with a fast mash speed. No, okay? There is some sort of skill you can develop. Obviously, with, like, fast twitch muscles and shit. This is my turbo stance. And this is what I think about turbos in the speedrunning community in relation to Dred. At first, I said, someone came to my stream and said, I think turbo should be allowed because you can mash fast. And it's unfair to those who can't mash fast. I said, I think that's a ridiculous argument. The argument should be based around health. Okay, so now here we are, basing the turbo argument around health. I don't care if people use turbos on the competitive leaderboard, okay? I do not care. I don't care about the speedrunning integrity. I don't care about the history. I don't give a shit about that. People go, oh, well, turbos have never been allowed, so that's just a bad look. All right? There are actual health issues. All right? After seeing and talking to people that go, yeah, I literally can't. I have a wrist brace, or I have carpal tunnel, or I have this, that. I go, you're right, actually, because I am fortunate enough to where even though I do mash and I have had a lot of time on my hands, I haven't developed these issues, and you have, so I understand your perspective. And for that reason, I think turbos should be allowed. Obviously, they should be allowed with a limitation, however. Now, the thing is, we allow these turbos, which is something that is essentially unheard of in the mainstream speedrunning community anyways. And now it's an argument about, well, let's just keep it uncapped. Now let's just uncap it to where if you don't want to, if you want to mash or have a 20 hertz consistently, you have to then just use turbo. Okay, now all you're doing is then just forcing people, once we already allowed the rule, to then just use turbo. When we're already just allowing it when it has been allowed for how many ever years. So then you're just like moving the goalpost. I am cool with turbos. I don't give a shit. With Ravenbeak Phase 1. In order to do Ravenbeak Phase 1 gold skip, you need to mash at 15 hertz per second during the counter cutscene after the whatever it is. Okay? I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you need to mash fast enough to get past the health of gold phase. On Phase 2, hertz per second. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of jumbled up thoughts right now. On Phase 2 and Phase 3, with turbo, even with 12 hertz, you have an incredibly huge advantage because all you do is you hold the shoot button, which takes zero anything. You just hold the shoot button, and it's mashing at this. Like, that's the speed. That's probably 12 hertz. And all you do while holding that button is hit missile at a rhythm. And you are saving so much time over someone that doesn't use that method and just uses the ice missile method. There is no efficient way to replicate that without the use of turbo. Turbo has an advantage in Phase 2 and in Phase 3. It's already balanced out because you can't skip. Hertz is per second. 12 is 12 inputs pressed and released per second. You have a huge advantage on Phase 2 and 3. Already balancing out just one aspect of the game, which is a huge argument, which is the gold phase Ravenbeak skip. Already balanced out, essentially. And then you take into consideration, and this is, like I said in the Discord, a hard point to articulate, but you are literally freeing up your resources in your brain when all you do is hold a button and you can just jump around your enemies or bosses. All right? It's easier, safer fights. You don't have to sit here and spam and then like jumble around your controller. Like everything with boss fights is more consistent and easier to survive. So then you have an advantage there. All right? The disadvantage being you have to turn the turbo on. You have to actually trigger the turbo during whatever boss fights you choose to use it. Now, the argument is, okay, so let's just make it 12 hertz because you gain an advantage with turbo controller everywhere else. You have a faster Phase 2 and a Phase 3 fight, which essentially balances out. If you're going to use a turbo controller, you could argue that there should even be some sort of how do I say this? Like, not time loss, but you get some sort of artificial or invisible time penalty, right? Which that time penalty essentially is gold phase Ravenbeak. Okay? But penalty really isn't a good word for it, because it's like you're being disciplined or, you know, penalized for using turbo. But the argument is, well, if we put it at 12 hertz, you can't do the gold phase skip, okay? So let's just on-cap it. Because if it's 12 hertz, people will then be encouraged to mash at a higher speed, which could lead to health problems down the line. That is the current argument being said for why turbos should be on-capped. I think that's a dumb argument. You should not try to take the moral high ground and dictate how other people deal with their health in a community. You should educate people on what can happen if you're mashing over long periods of time. You should educate those people on what can happen to your health. You should or encourage better, more ergonomic ways of mashing, which there are, and I saw in the Discord as well. Oh, we need to dispel the myth that there is a healthier way to mash. There is absolutely healthier ways to mash. That's ridiculous. That should be encouraged. You shouldn't try to say, well, if we cap it at 12, that's gonna make some people just want to mash, and we care so much about those people's health. That just feels, first of all, like I said, disingenuous. I don't know. It feels dishonest. I'm gonna be honest. No one is forcing people to speedrun their argument. It's completely invalid. Like, if you want to try to your best to be a starter pro. So my argument for capping it at 10 or 12 or whatever turbos are is you lose time at the gold phase. You gain time back because of phase 2 and 3. You potentially gain time everywhere else just with consistent mashing on fights. And that argument is against the argument that, well, we don't want anyone to even think about mashing on their own because of their long-term health. I think that second argument is asinine, and it should not be taken into consideration. I understand people have health issues. I understand people cannot mash. That's why since week 1, I have then said, it's cool. Just allow turbos. I don't give a shit. Allow turbos. Keep it capped, though. Have some sort of imaginary penalty because you have an advantage everywhere else. I don't really care about filtering the leaderboards, but I don't want people to get confused here and think that there is any malicious intent when I say cap it at 12. I have been outspoken about allowing turbos since week 1, and I'm still outspoken about it. It's just, it makes my brain hurt when I see arguments like, well, we care about the health of all our communities, so we're going to set these boundaries here so people are more forced. We're herding cattle into the direction to just buy turbo controllers because of their long-term health. I don't know. It seems transparent, seems disingenuous, and seems dishonest. How come the community rarely agrees with you? Well, first of all, my opinions aren't always correct, but it's just in this instance, I don't see why this argument is being made for people's health. Like they're taking the moral high ground here for the greater good of the community. No, this just really upset me to see people all of a sudden taking such a high stance, taking such like a stance and a ground because of people's health, to where they're willing to like pigeonhole top times or like the boss fights into the you need to buy a turbo controller. You can mash faster, maintain your edge over others. Mashing is just not healthy for your hands. Mashing is not great for your hands. Luckily, the method I use, it's basically just gives me good arm pump, because what I do is I just tighten up my arms, which is literally no different than contraction with weightlifting. Yeah, like even Linkus has talked about this. He has issues as well, and he has developed other methods, and you know, no, everyone has a valid opinion and should have a valid opinion in the discussion here. But yeah, I just it's crazy to me that we went from should turbos be allowed? Yeah, sure, yeah, they should be allowed. And, you know, it goes against all the stigma of whatever and the integrity of speedrun, which who gives a shit about that? And it's turned into an argument about literally just on-capping it. Yeah, exactly. We have... Okay. Why is it an issue to when, like, you can literally just D-pad... We already have a rule that you can map your controller. And rocking back and forth on your D-pad literally has no effect on your... on like, RSI. I mean, maybe the smallest degree, no more than what jerking off for a couple minutes a day does. Or carpal tunnel or whatever. Like, we already have the rule to where we can remap it, and it's incredibly easy just to remap to, like, D-pad left and right. Like, what? I don't understand why all of a sudden, like, people care so much about that regard. It's just... It's all of a sudden, like, was a talking point. Caring about the community's health was a talking point, and now people are just running with it for on-capped turbo speeds. That's why I say it feels disingenuous and just obnoxious to see. I'm not in a place to tell other people how to deal with their own fucking health, dude. Yeah, that is a bit of a straw man. I mean, if we care so much about health, then yeah, those big marathons. But yeah, that's kind of a whole different discussion, regardless. I don't know. It's like one extreme to another. Yeah, let's allow turbos. It's cool. People have health issues, and they physically cannot mash at those speeds. Okay, yeah, let's just on-cap it, though. I don't know what Vooligen's stance is, but Vooligen speedruns with a turbo, and he does 12, and I feel like... Didn't he have the same opinion about 12? Because he even understands that you benefit so much in, like, phase 2 and 3. Obviously, that's anecdotal, but, you know. But maybe one of the best runners that uses turbo might have some sort of say in the matter as well. 12 hertz is fast. It's faster than most people can mash. Okay, wait, hold on. Was a question asked to me, because I don't know if I can mash faster than 15 hertz single. I'm going to try real quick. I'm going to single mash, which normally I double mash for the Ravenbeak skip. I'm going to see if I can skip the gold phase with single mash. Don't Oats, it's too dangerous. No, I don't want to, like... make it seem like that's an actual argument. It is. I mean, long term, it can cause issues, yeah. That is definitely known. Same with anything long term repetitious, you know? Alright, I'm gonna single mash and see if I can do this. Okay, that was a terrible start to the mash. Let me try again. I put it on my lap when I should not have. That was like 8 hertz, dude. My hand falls off. I put it on my lap for double mersh. For fucking double mersh. 15 hertz is fast as hell, man. That was probably like 12. Because that was like, that was about that right there. Yeah, I'm probably a couple hertz away. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a little bit awkward. I'll try it one more time. Definitely a little bit cold too. I'll try this. I'll try the thumb. Dude, single mashing seems so awkward during cutscenes. But yeah, that's probably quite a few off. It's probably like 12 right there or something. All right. Someone asked me that earlier or yesterday in relation to the discussion. So yeah, there you go. Cannot single mash the Ravenbeak. You can also literally do the... there's a really good method for mashing that might allow me to even do single. Well, it's not really single. You like slide your fingernail back and forth, which is super fast. And also very ergonomic. I'm not denying that there's health issues that can arise. I'll make that clear. This is the method to where you use your fingernail. but you need to like get good at it. That's pretty damn fast. And literally the most ergonomic thing in the world. That's good. Fingernail. You scrape it back and forth. You know, and then you just build up speed. Takes a little bit of practice, but ergonomic. You can do gold. You can definitely gold phase skip with that. Literally no issues with wrist or anything. There, I found a new method for people that are upset. But I still think turbo should be allowed. Also, what's the roll? What's the Tetris roll method? I've never heard of that. I've heard the spoon method, which is really good. The method that I just used is really good as well.
I want that. I dispute their one.
Double mash both thumbs is what I use. Really good. You tap your fingers on the back of the controller. Oh, that's kind of what I do. Because I use my, yeah, I'll like bounce with it, yeah. I kind of just keep my arms a little bit more tense, but that's it. Yeah, that's probably quite a bit different than what I use. I mean, also, I really do hate to say this as well, but any speedrunning, any practicing, anything like this, we are prone to health issues down the line. I just want to make that clear. For everyone that thinks that you may be... It's like people that work in an office and type. Thanks for 21 months. I don't know. It's up to you. Just to let everyone know, regardless of what you do, we're all prone to joint issues because we are speedrunning. And this is all just repetition. So if you think that you're, you know, immune for some reason, then, you know, I hate to break it to you. Yeah, and I have to realize this too. As I play more piano as well, piano players are also very at risk for issues. Musicians as well, you know. I also have Ehlers-Danlos, which is a bone and joint cartilage issue. So this is coming from, you know, not to sound like I'm somehow an authority in this stance, but as someone with Ehlers-Danlos as well, my stance still feels the same regarding all this shit. Yeah, I just feel a lot of inflammation all the time. It definitely sucks, but